If there was ever anything better than one 445 Super Magnum, it's two 445 Super Magnums.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I've been doing a lot of thinking about the channel and about what I want to show you guys, and I've had a couple interactions with some of you lately that make me think that you might want to see some more in-depth information about loading black powder for these matches like the Quigley. And I sort of have mixed feelings about that because I don't know that I'm all that qualified to give anybody any advice about doing anything. There's a lot of shooters that are way better than me. But I am having some success and I am learning a lot. And part of what this channel is, you know, learning and growing in the shooting sports. So I can shoot video showing you what I'm doing. And there may be better ways to do stuff. Right? Freely admit that. But you guys can kind of see what I'm doing, see how I do, try it yourselves, you know, or you can point out something better if you like. So over the last few months since the Quigley, basically what I've been doing is a whole bunch of testing. Every one of these is a test of some sort. I like to spray glue my targets to some cardboard because that helps them to make a cleaner hole. Sometimes the backing boards at the range get a little shot out, and so you get these holes that aren't quite as clean as they could be. And plus the cardboard helps me to keep the target for future reference too. And so I've been doing a lot of ladder testing, and I have ladder tested powder charges, I've ladder tested lubes, I've ladder tested seating depths, I've ladder tested different wad stacks. And right now, I'm on a node from my last ladder test that I think I really like, with a bullet that I think I really like. And I'm about to load a second ladder test here. So this is going to be the first part of a 3-part video. It's going to be all about ladder testing. In this video, we're going to I'll show you how exactly I'm loading the ladder test and why we're doing some of the things we're doing. In the second part of the video, we're going to actually shoot the test at the range, and because that's very involved. There's no way I'd be able to fit that into a video where I showed you loading the thing. And then in the third test, we're going to bring our targets back and we're going to read the targets and try to get what we can get out of it, because following the ladder test, then you're going to have to take a range of powder charges and load some test groups, right? 5 or 10, it's probably going to be 10 round test groups. Shoot those groups and see which one of those is going to score the best. Because one of the things after all this testing I understand now is that you can have a node or a spread in your powder charges that seem to group together really well. However, that does not mean that every one of those powder charges is part of the node, or that they will all shoot equally well. They won't. Somewhere in that node is going to be a much smaller range of charges where the true, what I think of in my head is the true node actually sits. For instance, this group that we're going to test right now runs from 80 to 83 grains. And this is bracketing. My node was actually in the middle here, but I'm going to bracket a little above and a little below. And I'm going to explain this sheet to you too. So anyway, I hope this doesn't get too far into the weeds for some of you guys, but come on in here and let's have a look at what we're doing. Okay, so first things first, we need to be on the same page when we're talking about ladder testing. There's a couple of really good descriptions I'm aware of ladder testing and what it is. There's one on the Sniper's Hide forum. If any of you guys are a member on there, it's a sticky on the forum. There's a lot of information, and and that one deals mostly with modern rifles. And then there's this one that I ran across. This is from the Black Powder Cartridge News. They have a contributing author named Rick Moritz. Rick is an extremely competitive black powder shooter. This guy he's actually right now he's basically dominant. He wins more or less every match the guy he gets in, it seems like. So his advice when he's going to write it down like this, it's a good idea to follow it. Now, the article itself was printed in the fall of 2021 issue. So if you go online and subscribe to Black Powder Cartridge News, which is not expensive, and I'll put a link in the description where you can do that, you get electronic access to all the back issues. So you can go right back to this issue right here and read this article and print it off. And voila, you will have everything at your fingertips, right? And he shows you, he goes through here step by step how to do it, how to load it, how to track it, and then how to put everything. He puts his stuff in an Excel spreadsheet, which basically shows you right where the note is. We're going to do that on our video too. I printed mine off of the website because I refer back to this a lot, and I don't always want to dig the magazine out of the stack in order to get that information. So whenever we start talking about processes in this video, it's going to be something basically straight out of here. So now that that's cleared, I have a sheet here, okay? And when I'm loading a ladder test, I write up a sheet just like this one. And what I've got is my basic information up here when I'm going to shoot the test. I've got my overall length, and I ladder tested for this too. This overall length seems to be more accurate than others. See, on either side of it. If I go longer, the groups get bigger, and if I go shorter, the groups get bigger. Who'd have thunk it, right? Here's my powder charge. I'm running in 0.2 grain increments this time. Got to remember, this is a second stage ladder test. My initial test was in half grain increments. So now I've got my node, which is in here, plus a little bit on either side. I'm bracketing, and I'm going to go in 0.2 grain increments, and we're going to plot those shots on a target as they happen in order so that I'll know where the node is. And the other thing I'm going to do is I track my velocity with the lab radar. And while I'm shooting, I'm going to write down my muzzle velocity on each one of these, right? And when I come back from shooting, I'm going to fill in the rest of these fields to get my velocities all the way out to 200 yards. And the reason I'm going to do that is so I can calculate my ballistic coefficients, both G1 and G7. So these bullets that we cast for black powder shooting, they all look great. When you cast them, it just looks like a little rocket that'll just go and go and go. But the problem is, it doesn't come out of the barrel looking like this. The bullet gets compressed both lengthwise and it gets expanded widthwise, right? It's being forced. This thing is hit with enough force so fast that the base of the bullet will actually compress faster than the top. And so it comes out of the barrel looking a little different, right? But if I have my ballistic coefficients figured out, then I can use that information to give myself adequate dope numbers for shooting longer range and correcting for the wind, right? It's really important information that we want to have. So when I go through, as I go through loading, and I have all my cases right here, 16 of them, as I load each case, I'm going to put a little green check mark right there so that I know that one's loaded and I move on to the next one, and then I'll check mark and so forth all the way down the line. That way I don't screw up the loading of the cases. I know that sounds funny, but it's easy to do. And from there, then we're going to compress everything and we're going to get the test ready, and I'm going to make up my targets, and I'll show you that too. So let's get cracking and load some ammo. Okay, so when we get going here, all these cases, these are my ladder test cases, and these are my sight-in rounds, right? I didn't pay that much attention to those, but these ones here are all basically weigh the same. They're within a couple of tenths of a grain of each other, right? They've all been trimmed. They've all been primed. They've all been annealed. They're all very, very close in weight. Close enough to where I don't think I can get them any closer, honestly. Same thing with these bullets. And when I sorted these bullets, these are my 600 grain. They actually come out weighing about 609. These are all sorted by weight, and when I sort them onto these plastic trays, like these ones here are 608.5 to 608.9. So it's basically, you got 10 rows, right? So the first two are 5, then 6, then 7, 8, 9, so forth. So I'm going to start back with my bullets right here. I'm going to use the 9s first, then the 8s. So these, all of my bullets will be within a tenth of each other, weight-wise. You know, 1/10 total spread, not a 2/10 spread, right? And they also all don't have any defects that I can see, right? Nothing's wrong with any of those bullets. We're going to use Swiss 2F powder. I am going to use one Walters wad, 060 Walters fiber wad, and then on top of that, I'm going to use one 060 LDPE plastic wad. This is my wad stack, right? Through ladder testing, oops, I don't want that in there. Through ladder testing, I found that wad stack delivered actually better accuracy than other. I tried running 2 Walters wads. I tried running a grease wad. I tried, a felt wad. I tried a few different things. These two together in that order gave me the best accuracy. So, what I'm going to do here is set up the powder throw, and we're going to start dropping powder charges and checking off our loads as we get them dropped. Okay, so we're ready to start throwing powder charges. So the first thing I want to do is let this thing turn on. It's already warmed. It's been warming up all day. I've got a charge in here that's very close to 80 grains of powder. I'm going to drop it in this can, or in my little tray here. Now I'm going to take this, put it on the scale, and I'm going to zero the scale out. Okay, now pull it back off. I'm going to drop my powder charge in there. Put it back on the scale. 79.98. I'm going to trickle up to 80. That's my starting charge. Usually it doesn't take much. This trickler is really accurate, and it'll drop individual kernels of powder. So we're on 80 grains. I'm going to push print. It flashed at me, which means that the computer now knows that's the weight that I want on all these drops, right? So from there on out, I load the case, put it back, and now that thing will give me a fresh case full of 80 grains of powder. It'll keep doing it until I tell it to do something else. So as I drop powder, I'm taking a Walters wad and I look at it edge on to figure out which side is tapered. And that's the side that goes down in the case, and I seat it with this little piece of 3/8 dowel. This way, while I'm working with these cases, if I knock one over, nothing happens, right? I don't spill anything. So I've managed to make quite a mess on multiple occasions, and so now I try to do things to help me avoid all that. There we go, 83. Turn that off. And seat our last wad. There we go. Bingo. Moving on. Okay, so what I've got here is my compression die, and it's backed out right now. So I just seated a bullet in here. And looking at it, we are at 3.635. And we need to be down to 3.450, and we've got another 060 wad to fit in there on top of that fiber wad. So we're going to start turning down a little bit, and we're going to keep on doing this a little more until we hit a magic number. Okay, so I've got all my cases charged, and the wads are in there. I compressed them, and the wads are in. And this is my wad stack. This is what I wanted to show you guys. This goes in first on top of the powder. And these wads all have kind of a tapered edge. That is, the side is a little, it's not perfectly 90 degrees. It's more like that. Tapered edge always goes down. Okay. Then we compress the powder. Then I'm going to seat my LDPE wad right here. And on top of that, I put a little piece of parchment wad, which is this. And parchment paper is really cheap. Get it at the grocery store. But the thing about it is that lube or other oils won't penetrate that paper, right? So when I take my bullet and I lube it in the lube sizer, and I'm going to wipe the bottom off on paper towel as good as I can, but it'll be sitting right on top of this piece of parchment paper, so that if there was anything stuck on there, right, it would not penetrate through the parchment paper and cause this wad to stick. In other words, this thing guarantees the release of all of that from the bullet. And I'm doing that because there's a lot of times where I myself have found out at the 100 and 200 yard lines, found pieces of bullet in the berm, still had wads stuck to them. And there's only one way that one of these wads could get out that far, and that is when it's stuck to the base of the bullet. And a lot of people have seen this, not just me. So in my mind, this is cheap insurance, because I would much rather have just this little piece of parchment paper stuck on the bullet rather than this thing or this thing, depending on how you do your wad stacks. So now it's just a matter of making sure that everything is seated down in there nice and flat. Pencil eraser works great for that. So I just need to get all these done, and then I'm ready to start seating bullets. So I'm kind of stuck wiping down my bullets when I'm done. Once I get them all seated in the case and everything like that, I just have to take a paper towel and wipe them all off, because I don't want to put a bullet like that with a bunch of extra lube on it in the barrel and then fire it. It would not. I don't believe it would result in good accuracy. I know that some guys like to run extra lube down their barrel, and you can do that on a sight-in shot or something, but I wouldn't do it on any shot that mattered. So at any rate, I'm just going to go through, lube these up, and then we're going to get them all seated into the cases. And at that point, we're going to be ready to take the belling off the case, and we're ready to fire ammo at that point. Alright, so I'll try to stand off to the side here. When it comes to seating, all I really got to do is just push them in the case like that. Now these are fire form cases, and then we run them through a belling die that's 460 diameter, and it puts a little bit of bell on the mouth of the case, right? And plus the inside of these is real slicked up because of running through our Giro case trimmer, so there's no burrs or anything like that to hang up the mouth of the case on. Whoa, one wants to be stubborn right when I go and say that. I think it's because I knocked this one over. It's got a little flat spot right there. There we go. And I need one more. No problem. Wipe it off. There we go. So I've got a loaded round that's my size I want, and this is a sizing die for a 4570. I'm going to mount that in the press and show you guys a real neat trick here. Okay, so I've got this sizing die mounted up, stems pulled out, and I've got a loaded round here now, and it's seated down in there. Now what I want to do, I'm not going to push this thing all the way down there. These cases just have a little bit of belling on the mouth, and I really don't want to do any more than about that. Take it back up, take my paper towel, make sure the case is clean, and I'm going to make sure that the nose of the bullet is clean, and that's it. I'm going to put this thing in my case. Now I can still turn it. It still slips a little bit. I might even do a little bit more there. But I don't want to put a lot of pressure on it. I don't want to make this thing, see, it slides a little. I don't want to make it so that it's really crammed on there. I'm not using a crimp die, okay? The goal here, actually that was the wrong one. That's bullet number 16. The goal here is not to put a lot of pressure on that thing and get it, I'll still put it right there, and get it crammed down in there real hard at all. That's not the goal. The goal is to put just enough tension on there to take the belling off the case mouth and give it a slight hold on the bullet. Remember, black powder is an explosive. We don't need a bunch of pressure to make this, or back pressure to make this round go off. It's going to go off just fine with no back pressure at all. So that's the explanation of that. Make sure we're cleaned up good. There we go. Nice and gentle. Wipe it down. Put it in the box. Just keep on trucking. There's bullet number 1 right there.